Hello, 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 everyone. And it is a beautiful Sunday. My name is Diamond Rivera of Diamond Rivera Films. And today we have a really, really amazing guest here today. Leo, all the way from the DMV area. A person, yes, everyone. Honestly, everyone, I came in encounter with this person actually through Facebook. But him and his connection with Edwin Ferreras, it really struck me because people like him and Edwin, I can just see through their posts and their writings that they have so much information to give. They're so intuitive, they're so knowledgeable, they have a lot of wisdom. And again, Leo, I really, really thank you for coming on the platform today.
Well, Diamond, thank you. Thank you for. I mean, I feel humbled. I feel privileged to kind of just be here, to be, someone like focused on. I'm usually I like to kind of just look at things and
Mhm.
kind of pay attention and just contribute what I can that might be hopefully helpful. So I'm just privileged to be here, man. Yes, I always kind of like to pour my heart out in our community. So that's what I love to do. So, but I'm glad to have met you. I've supported everything that I've seen you do. I commend you extremely for the things that you've done, the courage that you have practiced and put into play, and just the time that you're dedicating to be able to kind of just express this and open the hearts for everyone. So you're awesome.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And for me, I just want people to know is that through the many kind of live discussions I've had that have dealt with various topics, a lot of these topics, me and you and others, we have the same sentiment or we have the same questions, but it's really how we choose to approach it. Many of us will choose to have, either private conversations or A and B conversations. But for me, I think, with this platform, it's not just so much of me having the platform, but what I'm trying to do with it. And having people like yourself that I feel have such an amazing story. And when you're speaking or posting, I can tell you're standing by your truth, you're standing by your beliefs. I think it's really, really commendable. And, me learning, but also I think the audience can learn so much from you. And, for me and you, we've talked privately, and I think it's really awesome. And it's really touching that, you were able to mesh your dance journey into the world of spirituality, because I've also talked to a previous guest who went down that same path. And you kind of see where the world of spirituality can really just help a person evolve. So, I'm really honored myself to speak to you. And I think what I would love to know is we can really start all the way from the beginning and kind of give the audience and myself where everything started.
Well, okay. My parents met, and right. So I am a fantastic miracle of two great, awesome Dominican parents, um, and things as you mentioned, their postings and things that I may express. I never cease to give them the credit they deserve. Um, and they're like I'm gonna say it again, fantastic Dominican parents. So that makes me super Dominican. I was born in New York,
Mhm.
but it I'm a Dominican dude all the way. And it is what it is. That's but before that, I'm a son of God first. I'm a man of
Mhm.
God, and there has been a trajectory to get that and for me to say that freely and confidently, strongly, and still under construction. Um, I One big thing is that I can say to you is that when all I can remember and the many things is that my parents took so much time to show me love, to show me compassion, to show me humility, to show me like what it meant to work and to work hard. So at the point where I was able to just try to emulate that behavior and that love, I just carried it, and it felt good to do so. Um, so in that case, all that really meant is that I could continue to continue just to share that. And one big thing, and there's a few topics that I kind of just might bring up, is that sometimes, and many of us, we have experienced some tragic moments, some trauma, and then whenever we surpass this trauma, that we feel like we were able to succeed this and stand up tall and look as survivors of things that we've been through and things like that. And that makes us really, that makes it really strong and important. And like the fact of just overpassing these things.
Mhm.
I will say this though, that in my case, it's a little different. I know there are the challenges about people that have had, they've grown up without a father, grown up without a mother, grown up without parents, grown up with, grown without love or compassion. And I'll say that I can't claim any of those things. I was raised with so much love and passion and beautiful parents that they're still together, married today. But that doesn't like stop me from being eligible to share love and passion and being able to kind of come forward and being able to help. So in my case, I felt it differently to have for me to have like a truckload of,
Mhm.
of love and passion and help to say, I can make it rain in love and passion too. I can be nice. I can help. And so it's easy for me to love. And sometimes it's detrimental. I may do sometimes and help too much. So and with the way I was raised, my parents loved dancing. They love dancing today. My father is going to be 80 years old next year. That guy is strong as a bull right now. And one thing I can always remember is that they love to dance. And as Dominicans, when I would see my parents love to dance salsa, that's what I always saw. And when I was younger, we would, no matter what happened, like even as a teenager, some kids would go hang out with their parents to do different things. I was going out to dance with my parents in New York. I would go out, and my father, he would make sure I had the nice outfits and the nice coat and stuff to look presentable. Always you look presentable. But it was about time to dance. Like I didn't stop dancing because dancing was just such a big part of my history. We moved. So I was born in New York and Brooklyn. Moved to the Dominican Republic. I was raised there for many years. Then came back to the Bronx. And there I started going to Lehman High School. So this is where the story of being touched and being affected in such a positive and loving way by David Melendez comes in, because in 1993, returning to the United States, I started attending Lehman High School, and during that time, I was this tall, kind of a little bit loud Dominican dude with his accent, and the school that was, full of, people from a lot of Asians, a lot of people from India, Albanians, and a lot of Caucasians everywhere. And not that they weren't Latinos, but they weren't that many. So when after my freshman year, I go there and I'm trying to find my way. I hear there's like an international food festival that's happening. Someone asked me, "Hey, do you know how to dance salsa? We lost somebody. Somebody got hurt. Can you come and dance?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I can dance, but I mean, like, what you want to do?" So they put one of those big boom box on the corner right there on the third floor, and we started dancing. They're like, "Well, we got to make sure if you know how to dance." So they put this old song. I was having fun. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna dance with us tomorrow?" I'm like, "Okay." So from there, I started dancing within my high school, and that progressed into being asked to like dance more, right? Dance again and be part of different events. In addition, then when the Hispanic Heritage Celebration months will come around, and other events, then they would kind of seek that extra flavor of things that I was doing. So during my freshman year, towards that time, in a freshman year, my mom used to be a senior citizen center director on Glebe Avenue, right there on Castle Hill Avenue, right there in the Bronx, by Westchester Avenue. So, pretty much when I was able to, so one day I was walking by, I hear music as I'm walking from the school to see my mom. I hear the salsa, and I see this building, I see the studio, and I'm like, let me just kind of walk in. So I walk into the place, and I see a bunch of little kids with red t-shirts. I see a bunch of kids with red t-shirts, and I'm like, what's going on? So I see the music, and I hear the music, and I see David dancing with them and just teaching them. And all I can say is that, wow, I want this. Like, I want to dance. So I went to David when they were, they were practicing, and I see a lady walk in to pay for, like, a fee and stuff. And I don't know, I was a freshman in high school. And so I see him like, hey, sir, hi, listen, I want to dance here. Can I dance? Like, what can I do? How much does it pay? I see a lady paying. Can I? Oh, my crazy accent was just funny. So when I went there, when I was speaking with him, he says, well, I'm not going to charge you, but because I was tall and looked nice. He said, well, I'll tell you this. If you help me with dancing with them and teaching with them and you help me clean, I won't charge you. And I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, come on, I can go get a job at a supermarket, bagging, packing the bags and stuff, and getting the little coins in the little plastic cup and everything as a tip. But no, eventually it was great. So he let me there, and then we learned a choreography, a mambo old footwork shines choreography with the little kids, and then we actually performed it at the high school a couple of times. Yeah, but I wish I have no video, I have none of that. So, hey, hold on a second. I can't hear you. Hold on, let me see. Can you hear something? Go ahead. I can't hear you right now.
1 second. Are you able to hear me now?
Now we're here. Yes.
Perfect. Sorry, everyone. But
Okay.
yeah, I really find it amazing is that, again, we were years apart, but we were both impacted by the same person, and we realized that this person took us in, no matter the age we were, but they saw that we were interested, and they took us in rather than to shun us away. And from you coming from '93, I actually came in '96, but as a younger kid. So for me, it was,
Wow.
yeah, I was there in '96, right on Castle Hill when they had the multiple rooms for the studios. And yeah, so I mean, for us to see, especially with the interview I had with Baldilio, and then realizing like we all were impacted in the same format by the same person.
I know, because I tried to reach out to Baldilio, and we're gonna catch up at some point, because I really wanted to kind of do something similar, like, hey,
Mhm.
like, where were you there? Like, when, what's going on? Because then from '93 to '97, when I was in high school, during those times, I was like, there was a point that when I had different shows, like I had shows throughout the year, not only just in Hispanic heritage, I had different shows, which oh man, I don't know if I should do. I think I'm gonna do something.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you show and tell. Are you
Okay.
ready? I'm gonna give you show and tell. Hold on a
Yes,
second.
yes, absolutely.
All right. I don't know. I don't think people on your show get up and leave, but
No, man, this is
it's
organic
my
here.
it's my turn. So, so this is my yearbook.
Okay.
And
Yes, that's how you know.
because,
That's authentic right there.
so this is my yearbook because actually I have a couple of friends that I still have contact with, and we were like all sharing pictures.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna do a show and tell of, because sometimes some people, like there were some individuals that you've had, great guests on the show, where sometimes we don't really think and take the time to see that there's some other aspect of dancing that build our character as we progress. You can't laugh too much, bro. But
No,
this
no
is great.
worries.
Now you can laugh all you want, but you pay your taxes, do what you want. Okay, I'm gonna. I can't believe I'm doing that. All right, so, all right, look at this right here.
Wow. Wow,
That
man.
was one of the dances. So this will show you what what trend. I'm trying to find a mirror way to show you, right? So I don't know if you can read that there. It says Leo's, Lehman's.
Lehman's Broadway, and it says Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers know Lehman's own Leo and Dawn.
But that was a dance that I had. That was actually modern dance choreography that I had, that I made like back then. So think about this tall dude doing modern dance with a little Latin twitch and flavor in there, right?
Yeah.
So the things that people just kind of had a thing of being able to get used to, like this extra flavor that they would just weren't used to, you know. And because I've never really been a good follower of things. I just kind of do my own thing as long as I'm not hurting anybody, you know. That's what I did. So anyway, that was my show and tell. So just kind of showing that in the Bronx in New York, I kind of just really grew more. So teaching and dancing and teaching with David kind of gave me this encouragement to know that if I have these things to share and do, why not? When I can make people happy and smile and teach and share and connect, why not? To tell you that during the 90s and towards the end of the 90s, I was everywhere. Yes, BBQs, Latin Quarters, Jimmy's Bronx Cafe, Jet Set, and right there on I think it was 180th and 3rd Avenue in the Bronx. I mean, many places. My thing was just dancing. And then I moved to Virginia. When I moved to Virginia, during the early 2000s, that's when I started to kind of get in my feel again about dancing. But I moved to Virginia Hampton Roads area, which is Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Portsmouth, and Norfolk. In 2003, I met my dance partner at that time. Her name is Millie, and her sister Sandra, which they had the company which is called Salsa VA. During those times, they were dancing, they were teaching salsa on one, and then a little bit right after that is when the decision to, after understanding and learning about dancing on two, I didn't want to like try to just sugarcoat things and kind of I just say, you know what, let's just switch everything, let's just dance on two. Gotcha. So dancing on two is what kind of really threw things on, because when I was dancing with David back then, I wasn't thinking that I was dancing mambo. I wasn't thinking about the fact of I wasn't thinking about the on two or the difference, or the fact that I was dancing a new or different way. So when I was able to focus on that again, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, when I do the same thing and it just feels better, I'm grown, I'm older, and I can get it better. And the many things that people sometimes don't understand is that when we go back into our history, back in early 2000s, all the ones that we see, like Earl Rush, Sion, Shaka, Grisel, Juan Matos, Ismael. I mean, we all had this, it's almost like we all had this connection to work and build this thing that we were all doing together. And we kind of just shared each other. We would have people come out, Tracy Diaz, that would just come, we would have them down there, or we'll come up. And those were great relationships. Those were ways that we were kind of building our relationships and also building a community where in 2005, that was when that salsa dance cruise happened, where that I think to a couple of the guys that we kind of sometimes connect, I think that was the best cruise that I think that's my opinion. Yeah, that was the best salsa dance cruise because that was really the only one that I went to anyway. But gotcha. I haven't heard anything better. So
no, absolutely. And I would say to kind of even go backwards into your story of dancing in the Bronx, I think especially a lot of people who aren't familiar with the Bronx, or especially with New York, a lot of times during those times, a lot of our youth really didn't have avenues to go to. And dancing for a lot of the youth was an escape, because also you were surrounded by kids your age. And for those few days, or that one day out of the week, or that Saturday on the weekend, you from almost 9 o'clock till 5 or 6, it was almost like a full-time job of you learning dancing, learning choreography, and then actually, besides learning the choreography, you were performing it in the neighborhood. Because I still remember they used to do the Bronx Puerto Rican Day Parade near in Castle Hill, and performing, and you're performing, and then you're kind of seeing your friends on the corners looking at you, and it's like, you realize like I'm actually making a difference in my community. I'm actually doing something that people are clapping for me. I'm getting some kind of recognition because again, even though I was much younger, my mind was definitely aware. I was definitely, my situational awareness was very high because I was seeing was that when kids my age or older didn't have an avenue, it was kind of you took to the streets. And then,
Right.
I definitely appreciate David um, giving us that platform, but also it wasn't just David. It was so many other dance schools, but he was one of those examples for us. And for me, I would love to ask you then, when you had, I guess, transition from David or learning from David and going into or transitioning to Virginia, was it like an immediate, like you got to Virginia and you immediately started dancing, or was it kind of you tried to find a social scene and then you kind of got acclimated?
So the way that it happened was that I started let me see, in the beginning of 2000, at the beginning of 2001 that I
Mhm.
moved. Towards the end of 2001, I started kind of going out again and doing more dancing. But I was very quiet. Like I'm the guy that goes to the basketball court and I don't say I could dunk. Like I don't say I'm gonna strip the ball. I go real quiet. Like I love going to like a brand new basketball court or to a brand new place to
Mhm.
dance. I just go real quiet and then I start doing my thing and then I start to progress. Like I don't have to be loud about, oh, I may have an idea or an experience of doing this. I just like to do it. So I started dancing and stuff and everything. They would just, started being noticed. Then I started working security at a couple of like two clubs, just
Mhm.
security, just I mean security. It wasn't violent, just like, hey, somebody's getting, somebody's drinking too much,
Yeah.
whatever stuff like that. So then that's how it started. I met my dance partner at the time there. I met Millie, and then we talked about it. And it's like, well, so I met her there, and then the next day there was a festival at a university at ODU there, and then I so I joined a contest they had. Right, they had like
Mhm.
they put like a dance contest with people that were there, and it's, so I was lucky enough to have like the person that danced the least that had no idea. So like I'm a jokester. I just have I don't know. I just like to have fun and have this humor. So when I say I was, those street performers, they have like they put like the little rag doll and they put the shoes attached and they make them dance or whatever. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I was dancing with this person. I was making her do all kind of things and I was doing the dips and I was doing all kind of stuff. And we won second place, by the way.
Okay.
Yes, yes. So, but it was so that's how it started, and then we did the lessons and things like that. But it was amazing because the experience it was a good experience to see that me the same thing you mentioned about being well, you didn't mention about the confidence. You mentioned that whenever somebody would see you doing the parade, you would understand that you're doing a difference. You're making a difference. But I'm gonna get into deeper about the reaction of what you're saying that you feel
Yes.
because there's a level of confidence that you have to have. There's a certain level of
Mhm.
conviction that you have to have. That when you see your friends that you hang out with, that you play basketball with, that you play street ball with, either you're gonna feel that they're gonna say something about you or start saying something weird, or that you're actually going to, say, huh, I feel good. Like this is okay. Like this is good. I don't care. I don't care what they say about me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep going, and this is good. And this fulfills me at that young age, and that is a
Yes.
big deal
No, it
because kids
is.
would do
No, it definitely is. And like you said, to see, when you have that confidence, it definitely helps you in your maturity growing up into adulthood because a lot of times, a lot of teenagers, it really starts is that lack of self-confidence, that lack of
right.
understanding yourself and understanding what you're comfortable with. Because a lot of times we allow others in our community to decide where we're going to go or to kind of decide our path.
So I'll share this, and that's kind of and when I mentioned earlier about like me not being like not much of a follower.
Hmm.
So I'll give you some background of for example my upbringing in New York in the Bronx, okay? Because there's not many places where you would be in the Bronx during those times where drugs and violence and all the bad stuff wasn't around, right? So I was part of it, right? I was part of it because I was surrounded. I was part of that environment, but I always chose to prioritize what my parents would think and the judgment that they would have when I would not be upholding their values.
Yes.
And that was always a big deal for me. But the thing is, I never felt like I had the need to. After we played 4 and 5 hours and played basketball at the at the court, that they were gonna go smoke weed and go do something that was not really cool. And for me to be accepted, be part of the crew or part of the group, that I had to go do that also. I was like, no, I'm good. And then you will hear the next day, like 2 of the guys got jumped somewhere or something happened, or they were part of some gang, or the fact that the police rolled up and kind of got them and picked them up and do whatever. And I'm like, oh, well, man, that sucks. But I'm going to school, man. I'll see y'all later. Like, and then I'll be back the next, the next thing we'll go play ball again.
Yeah.
And so those things, when that confidence and also that decision to like not go with the flow of the sheep. And then simply kind of just being your own wolf, being your own path creator. And that was huge for me. That was big because sometimes even though it was lonely, it felt safe. And that for me was big. And I did a lot. I worked hard. It was actually hard work to be able to make my parents proud and not make them feel that I was gonna go with a different and more negative crowd, because they understood also that was our environment, but they also kind of let me go a little bit because they felt like they did what they could, right? And then I would make the best choice, But again, we all as I'm a parent, and I can also feel that I've done the best I can. I continue to do the best I can, and hopefully the best choice will be made. And so in New York and just coming back up, I've noticed that being this type of strong individual is way more challenging than following, because we become a society of leaves that fall in the river and just go with the current, because it's a whole lot more work to go against the current. But understand that when you're going against the current, I mean, I'm not trying to do it on purpose, but I'm trying to show muscle. But when you're going against the current, you're challenge yourself so much physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. You build muscle, you build endurance, and you get to see a different trajectory of where life and things can get you to, compared to the ones that are just going with the flow. They don't even know where they're gonna end up at. You're creating your own path. You're creating your own way. And that's a big deal when it comes to the values and what I remember and what I've experienced throughout my life and what I've just done, and how I've integrated those things in my dancing, in my teaching, in my instructions, and in the message and my behavior, my actions, and the consistency that I like to display to like everyone that I'm able to interact with and get in touch with.
Yeah, and I believe the dedication and consistency from yourself, from you growing up, especially in the Bronx, adversity is a huge factor in a lot of people's lives, and it allows people to say whether I'm going to go left or I'm going to go right. And you chose to go right because you understood what happens when you go left. When you understand that when you take the wrong path, what the consequences are, as a person, as a human being, you have that choice, because even as a parent, again, you can only do the best you can. Your child will choose where they want to go. And then now leading into you transitioning, going to Virginia and going into that dance scene, for you, and then also becoming a security guard, so you're in that social square. When you were dancing more and more as an adult, did you kind of see the shift of the dancing change, or was it just more of like an evolving door?
What I saw when it came to the dancing was that there was the difference that you can notice, the difference of the ones that were utilizing the ability of just teaching a class, and instead of instructing.
Gotcha.
And the thing is that, and I have this one thing that I have. Oh man, let me just see if I find it for you. Because the big deal for me was understanding that people just were not taking their time to provide proper instruction when it came to either teaching salsa or bachata, or taking the time to be patient, being able to provide the tools and being available, but also being welcoming and being loving and making people feel comfortable when they came in. One of the things that I've always remembered, that when I have I'm a very patient guy, but not just for me to say it. People have said, oh, I'm very patient and stuff. But
yeah,
the thing is that I like to take the time to listen and understand and get to know someone, because if I were to teach 5 people how to dance salsa my way, the way I teach it, and I took no time to understand how these individuals behave, who they are, what they do, they're going to simply just go by what I say, and their ability to comprehend what I'm trying to communicate and instruct them might diminish, because there's something that there's some things that they may not understand. They may not get it in their language, and so if their microphone, their ears, and their brain processes things differently, like men, because we're individuals, they're not going to be able to catch everything, because I'm putting it in this way, right? So what I used to do, what I still do today, is that I try to find ways to put things in someone else's perspective, in their world. So when I speak the language that will make those things click and make sense, they can get it better. They can be more comfortable, and they can understand it. And then the comprehension will definitely increase and improve, because it makes more sense. So I noticed that during a time that wasn't really happening. Also, I'm glad that back then in Virginia and Hampton Roads, things were not that there weren't any challenges, because we're human and that's what we do. Sometimes we just we're gonna backstab each other. We're gonna have rumors and stuff like that. The world is messed up by us humans. But the bigger deal is that it's not as bad as it is now. It was not as bad, because back then we were all trying to grow.
Yes.
So we were all trying to grow, because not that they were not big names, but things were not big as now, because also social media and internet was not as it is now. So for you to be a big known person, for you to be someone that was a popular person, I mean, you had to put miles. Like you had to be known. Now, if you're Eddie Torres, you're Eddie Torres. When you're like this other person, it's like, okay, where you been? What's going on? And we got to see your dancing. We got to see what you're doing to see what it is. And then now you don't even have to go anywhere for someone to start noticing you and stuff like that. So during this time in the years, there was a lot of traveling, and I can only speak for the East Coast, because that's where I focused on. We did a lot of traveling. We did a lot of stuff. We shared a lot, but also things that I can always recall. We've had talks with Ana Mazacote. We've had talks with Beto Herrera from North Carolina. So those individuals can tell you that I remember back in those times that whenever we would have them over, we would have private lessons with them, or I remember that we would travel to Boston to go and train with Anna and Joel, and they can remember that, So we all just kind of work differently to improve, but then that brought the quality on the product that you're trying to put out, because we all understand that we all were working together to improve each other and bring each other like an elevator, not like a little string here and there.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because me growing up in the scene as well, I noticed when I first started, there were dancers throughout the states, but the amount of studios and the amount of teachers was small. And like you said, we were all focusing on evolving and growing the scene. But like you said, what happened was it's just a saturation of people just becoming teachers without having the proper training. And then, like you said, the addition of social media back then, without social media, you had to go to tons of socials. You had to go to tons of festivals and congresses to prove and earn your stripes, as they say. And for
Right.
me, being a younger kid, growing into the scene rather than being an adult, I went through that real process of like you had like David would make us go to events. They would make us dance with people because that's what you were supposed to do. I think nowadays when a lot of in New York has tons of schools, but it also has tons of teachers and tons of instructors, just like other cities. And sometimes, like you said, a lot of people who are teaching are not instructing. They're just teaching combinations and hoping that their students can learn, can pick it up or not. And I think, again, as people like me and you who've been doing this since the 90s, we have the understanding and we have our experience that showed us what it used to be like. And a lot of people, I guess, nowadays, like, love to say, oh, that was back then. Well, if you would love the scene to get to a place where everything is at a balance, then you have to know what happened in the past.
Right. I will say to you, man, that for example, I prefer, and many, I don't know what, many might agree or not, or they will say like, what do you mean? I mean, it's not like it's not like I don't have the ability to teach someone and break down a turn pattern, but I'd rather teach basic things, the basic step fundamentals. But the thing is that I like to challenge myself, and you might at least say like, wait a minute, that's the fundamentals, the basic things. Like, how's that challenging? So, like what I said earlier, I like to break something. I like to break it and reconfigure for it to improve. I used to have toys that my father used to get upset about. That I just bought you that, but then I made something else. That I used to be. I made things that I was able to kind of hit a button and put a lever, and I would close my door. But he would get upset. But then when he walk in and then I show it to him, he was like, and then he just walk away like, okay, all right, I'll leave you alone. So I'll say this because I love to see someone that has never danced. I love to see someone that has issues with understanding, because that to me is challenging. Logically, if someone is going to give a class and teach a turn pattern with a couple of crossbar leads and little flips here and there, whatever, little turns and stuff, little swirls and whatever it is, get all fancy. Hopefully the ones that are going to go and attend those things are going to be ones that they already are past those fundamental things. So really all that you're doing, besides hopefully the right timing and the right steps, is break down the dance, break down the couple of turn patterns. How many bars are you going to put of music? After that, you do a demo. And after that demo is over, after the demo is done, then you will simply just, move on and you move forward. When it comes to basic, it's different. And I rather focus on the basic things and the fundamentals. To me, that's way more important. To me, that it builds more. I feel like it contributes more. And it's unfortunate that the time that's spent today on social media is about the fancy things. Fancy is cool, but when you can see that individuals can't switch on time, or that the gentleman is not really waiting because they want to finish a turn pattern they saw on a video and they learned on a congress, or they found recorded somewhere, and the lady is getting hurt, or they're dipping. Like, listen, this went, by the way, women are not a bunch of chicken nuggets. All right, it's not to be dipped every time that you want. All right, it's not about that, man. I've seen so many people get hurt. I've gotten hit so many times. I've gotten scared from many people that I see being dipped. Like, it is not Dancing with the Stars. And I know that I don't know who was the one that came up with the fact that when you're at a social, doing dips is cool. I really, that's just my opinion. I mean, it might be cool, but the thing is that the reason why someone might feel cool about that is because someone that may not really appreciate the fact that there are some other fundamental skills about dancing. they just appreciate that because they've seen that on Dancing with the Stars or whatever. When you see a dip or a lift that someone really wasn't expecting, that you did something fantastic. And I'm not saying it doesn't take any skill to do that, but there's a time and a place for things like
Yes.
that. And man, injuries, and it's too late when you dip someone and you thought you had her and you didn't.
Yeah. As a videographer, especially now, I see that before COVID, I've seen that more than ever. And I've definitely talked to a lot of the follows that these incidents happen to, because for them to let me know and understand their frustration with it is important, because it helps me then disseminate that information to the leads. And, I think a lot of the information and a lot of the experiences and a lot of stories that you're telling, so many people have gone through that. And I think it's even more important to understand is how did spirituality kind of get involved with your life?
So I was raised Catholic,
Mhm.
in Dominican Republic, like many Latinos have been due to the Spanish influence. I always followed that. But the thing is that, as I mentioned, how I was raised, I always had the opportunity to be shown kindness and love and passion and being helpful.
Mhm.
So as time went by, I was able to understand that the ability of a little bit more freedom than the restriction and also the monotony that I was able to understand by my, the following Catholicism. It's just it just kind of it made me feel good, but I wasn't great.
Mhm.
So I started to kind of display and feel more freedom, and I kind of get to a place of Christianity, um, where it kind of went hand in hand with my ability to teach and show and dance, because one big deal for me is respect, right? One big deal for me is um, provide safety, and security, and and I found what I was looking for, which goes hands with your question.
Mhm.
There's something that I have here that I like to always think of, and is that an educator is a leader with the purpose and responsibility to lead people out of ignorance. Because there are two types of ignorance. There's either the ignorance that you can't help because you didn't know,
Mhm.
like you involuntarily ignored this because you had no idea, and
Yes.
then you knowingly just disregarded, just completely dismissed it. So when I noticed that that I had the ability to affect and improve people's lives by being able to teach them and find a way that I can make them feel comfortable, I was able to connect how I felt in my heart
Mhm.
about how I felt about my walk in Christ and about my walk in God. So when I say God in Christ, I know that there was the thing about spirituality, about just this topic, and about me speaking. It's not really about the fact of it's not really about speaking of religion, and it's about the fact of what spiritual connection do you have with whatever it is that you believe in. Because no matter what you believe in, as long as you believe in it strongly, we will see you, we will know you,
Mhm.
we will understand what you follow. Believing is not being able to see, it's just following without you guiding yourself with your eyes, because your heart, your soul will go with that no matter what you see.
Mhm.
Meaning you would not or should not be distracted by anything if you are going to believe in this thing. So when it comes to spirituality, for me, it's such a big topic, because I've been, man, like many people, I've been through a lot. I mean, I could smile and laugh and love to dance and be the loud guy and everything else, but behind that is not a sad face, it's an experienced face, it's an experienced heart. There are scars, that there are tattoos that have allowed me, giving me the privilege to be able to choose differently as I grow and as I get older, compared to getting down and drowning. So I chose to believe in God's presence. because even though what you don't see, do you believe in it, right? And that's the thing. Like, I have so many really great conversations with many people, because people would say, well, if there's a God, why do you believe in God? Because you can't see it. But then I'm like, well, don't they say seeing is believing? And then I answer this, well, if seeing is believing, then wow, tell me how great it is, that air that you're breathing. How much of that air do you see? But you need it, because without it, you'll die.
Yeah.
So, it's when it comes to believe, it's something that you're going to choose to follow strongly. And I've just chosen that path. But in my years, I've chosen to follow it, strongly, stronger and stronger. I've failed. I have, I've been through situations. I've done things that I'm not proud of. I've made mistakes that I wish I didn't make. I've made choices because some of them with ignorance, and some of them, with regular, simple ignorance, and some of the ones kind of knowingly. But then you grow, and you grow because you obtain information, like knowledge about it, and then you make a choice, what you repeat and what you don't repeat. I'll say that, I've also learned the benefit of transparency.
Yes.
I've also learned the benefit of humility. I've also learned the benefit of, even though I'm tall, I don't have to be taller than everybody else. Because your eyes are going to see the world the same way that my eyes are going to see the world the way I see the world, because of my height or where I'm at. But someone that's shorter might see the same world, but just differently because of where their height is and what. So everything that we all do is all affected by what we are. But eventually we are in this same bubble. We all have different perspective, and we're going to address things in a different way. But we are in this same bubble regardless. But whenever we're able to share each other's perspectives, it allows us to understand each other and be able to kind of work better together. And that's a big challenge that we have even today, because we allow the pride and the ego to stand behind our ability to progress. We choose to protect ourselves by feeling that if I keep this to myself and I don't share it, then someone is not going to hurt me. When in fact, when someone gets to know that about you, that person may have a better understanding of how to help you, on how to give you love and passion and assist you for you to progress. And that sometimes is a very challenging thing for people to get. And nowadays, like I became a Christian. I gave my life to Christ. I accepted Christ into my life good amount of years ago. And
yeah,
so cool. So I gave my life some time ago. And pretty much the whole process behind that was that.
Oh wait, hold on one second. Just give me one moment.
Go ahead, man. So if it's Amazon, right? I hope that there's something there that I can use, and that Amazon something that he probably got, because I hope it was Amazon.
So everyone, hi. As organic as it is, you get packages in the mail. You got to go get it. This is home. But yes, I
told you people. I was saying it. I said that if it was Amazon, I want something from Amazon. I hope it's something I can use.
No, I'm sorry, but definitely.
That's not good. That I know a little too much. My bad. Okay.
No worries. And yeah, definitely. Just please retract back from what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. So I accepted Jesus in my life, and it's just that about making the choices. So speaking about spirituality and stuff, and this in our dancing is a very different thing, because if you think about it, what makes our dancing blow up and grow and all that is just the sensuality and this and that and the drugs and the partying and the women and the abuse and the extra things. So the fact that I choose to stand differently, and the fact that I choose to that I decide differently, I can still have fun. By the way, like, hey, like, and just to, I don't know, I know there's a big image that comes from individuals that are, Jehovah Witnesses and stuff like that. But I'm a Christian. Hi, how you doing? Christians look like me too. Christians love to dance. Christians love to play basketball and whatever. We can do different things that are the same, but then when you do things in excess and then you have the bad intentions behind it and you don't have God behind what you're doing and you don't have God in front of what you're doing, then it doesn't really matter. So I've decided to, with those things, I don't have to speak up. So one thing is that I speak with, we have a group, a men's group in our church, and man, I'm telling you, I feel just blessed. Like my energy and the happiness that I have, it comes from the fact that I've chosen to. A long time ago, I came up with this thought of like when I can drive. I've been driving for a long time, but there was a time that I decided to, in my heart, to say, let me get out of the car, let me pull over, let me get out the car, and let me get in the passenger side and let God drive. Because I've been driving for a long time, and I ain't getting nowhere good, man. I'm not. I think I know how to get to places, but if I do not allow Him to lead in my life, then I may be like He has His easy pass is better than mine.
You know what I mean? Man, that's
dude.
Speaking knowledge.
His easy pass is better than mine, man. The thing about it is that everything that you might choose to do, and then you say it in God's name, or you choose to put God first, it's almost like since you don't know it all, you don't know everything, how about you ask God for clarity prior to you doing it? So when you're able to feel and see this clarity, then you can feel better about what this choice is. But sometimes that clarity doesn't come right away. You have to be vulnerable. You have to open up. And if someone that you're not doing life with, someone that you're not growing up with spiritually, isn't there to kind of help you along the way, because you cannot do life alone, then it's going to be challenging. It's not going to be easy, because the alternative is to go in the river like those leaves that I told you about before, and just go with the flow. Do what everybody else is doing. Sure, you might think that you're having fun right now, but then those moments of depression, those moments of decay, when those rotten moments start to happen, then you start to say, which I'm gonna say right now, and I'm not saying it's gonna suck, but those moments that we say, that we in vain say, what do we usually say? We say, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Oh, really?
Yeah.
But now when oh my God comes through, then you're like, oh my God, really? But now, so this time you want to really kind of reach out for Him, but those other times you didn't put an alarm or reminder for Him every time that you needed it.
Yeah. I mean, everything you're saying, it clicks, because a lot of people, again, in our dance community, there are people that have found the spiritual path. There are people that don't believe in spirituality. There are people that have their own beliefs in what they truly want to receive. And I think especially now in our times, with COVID happening, with quarantine in its phases, we realize that a lot of, not just our dancers, but people in general, a lot of us deal with depression. A lot of us deal with anxiety. And especially with people being kind of honed to being at home, a lot of people can feel, because we see through social media, when people are at home and just typing, they are, a lot of them are speaking their truths, whether we agree with them or not. But also there are a lot of people crying out for help, because they feel that being closed in and not having something to look forward to or something to help them, that's really a sign. And I really believe in my heart, I do believe there is a God. There's so many people in this world that believe the same as me. But when we think about spirituality, a lot of people are afraid sometimes, because they don't know if it's going to be able to help them in the long run.
And what you're saying right now is huge. And because that right there, it's the same thing that you spoke about when it comes to the point of going on that, on the Puerto Rican Day Parade thing, and then not knowing that what you're doing as a young kid on that float or dancing on the street is not making a difference. But then you're following the instructions, you're following the guidance of your whoever your leader is, whoever your instructor or teacher is, to do this, and that's for it to feel like it's okay. But for you to say what you just said right now about you don't know how how it's going to affect, and then for you to make that choice, you don't know how it's going to fix things, is because there are not that many things that speak about that address choosing to believe in God, or choosing to believe in something that, even though you don't see it, is going to make a difference. Now, I don't usually speak about this, but since this is the topic of spirituality, I'm gonna share this, because I don't really talk about this much on social media about what I do, because I don't do it to get attention. I don't do it to say, "Oh, Leo, this," but in the air, like so I'm gonna go back a little bit. So I'm gonna speak on the things that I've done within the area, because what happened was that so when I started dancing and I moved to the to the DMV area, and I started dancing again. I've only started dancing around here about 4 years ago. I came back to dancing. I took a break. It was work, and then I started doing it again, and to a point that now, I'm kind of like all over the place. I'm part of different events, organizing different things, different venues, different congresses, nonprofit organizations, fundraising events, concert things, events. So it's funny because I'm like this. I'm this dude that everyone kind of gives like a key. You can come here. Sure. Hey, oh, it's Leo. Cool. Sure. We can do this or whatever. Because I do things with my open heart, and I have no ill intention in anything that I'm trying to do, or anyone that I'm trying to help. I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody. To my detriment, I do things that I don't really charge for often. It's and that's on me, and that's with that. But that's just my heart. But that, again, that's God making me feel that I'm able to do that, because I'm privileged and I'm blessed to be able to do that. There've been some events that I've shared that has to do with helping children and doing things like that. This beautiful event that I had with a friend of mine, Jennifer Garcia. She's Martinez. She's a founder of the Ella Foundation, and we did this Mochila Power event. That it was being able to get backpacks full, like whenever you go into a school and you have like a list of things you need in the area down towards Maryland, like Silver Springs in that area. But that area was decided in conjunction with La Clínica del Pueblo. It's another huge organization. We were able to work together to get backpacks with all the items that were needed for whichever the grades were, and hundreds and stuff like that. And and it was beautiful. The kids were having a great time. I was being a big kid, which is fun and easy for me, and stuff like that. But for example, you should share when it comes to when you said about, can people believe and feel like there is a God? Can there be there? Like with my church, for example, every Sunday, I am part of a team, of a group that we go to Baltimore. So we have our church has this trailer that was customized to have showers in it. So these showers are in this trailer. We drive out to Baltimore, to this area where there's just an area where there are a lot of homeless individuals and just non-privileged individuals. And so we have that. We have the showers. We have clothes that are able to be donated. We have a food truck that we bring hot food, and drinks. I have my music out there. And it's funny because I've accidentally intervened in there with my my praise and worship salsa music, and I've been doing that. So and that's on a regular basis. But besides that, there's the time to have fellowship with individuals, where it's not that because someone does not give themselves to God at that time that they are just like, oh man, yes, today we scored. It's because we were able to be consistent in knowing that we're gonna be there every Sunday, and people come out and they are there and they come and see us. So if it's the little thing that you can think of, it's the fact that we are consistent to be there And if we're speaking about God, then people can maybe believe that God exists because we continue to be there and we continue to provide and love unconditionally and provide the love that they actually need. So,
Man, and it speaks volumes because, you know, throughout this interview, I was able to understand where you started and also to understand where you are presently and what you've done not only for the communities in the Bronx, but the communities in Virginia. And I think again, I really want to thank you so much for this interview because it really is important that we know that a lot of our dancers are doing what they're doing for the right reasons, because we have so many dancers and instructors that honestly are there for a profit. But to be honest, when we have dancers like yourself that can intertwine their love for dance and their love for spirituality and be able to kind of inspire the youth and inspire others in our community, it's amazing because we have people that are full of humility, that are full of courage, that are full of just wanting to be inspirations. And you know, just speaking to you for this last hour, I've learned so much because I really feel there are so many more people like yourself, but being able to speak to you and understand what it took to gain that sense of spirituality and believe, because again, it's all about belief, you know. And I really thank you again so much, Leo, for being able to speak to you because I know through this interview there will be someone who will listen to this and be inspired and realize that again, even with spirituality, you may not be able to see it, but we also know it's there. And you know, for me, at least before we go, are there any like last words that you would like to give myself and the audience?
um, last words. I mean, I have many words.
Yeah.
Because one thing is that I've gained a lot of wisdom, but I'm open to so much more. During the times that I've been in the community, like you mentioned earlier, them individuals take the time to be expressive. They'll say different things. That you see them making, posts about things that can get your attention. And some people don't understand that you're making that extra call or messengers, and you don't have no idea how you impact those individuals. So one thing I'll first commend, and and so I'm gonna put a couple of challenges. How about that? I'll go a couple of challenges. I challenge anyone that will see this video at some point that whenever you see someone that is doing worse than you, that's challenged or suffering, do not wonder and assume that person has someone to look out for them to help them. Make sure that you can close your knowledge, close your assumption with a fact to say that person said to you at least, "No, I'm good. Thank you," because you checked on that person.
Mhm.
In the same way that you're able to see a message posted on Facebook, you might do the same thing. You might be feeling like you are under pressure. You might be feeling depressed. You might be feeling challenged. You might be feeling abused. You might be feeling caged and cornered. Do not allow those feelings to do not allow for them to not seep out of that balloon that increases with pressure, because eventually the balloon will reach its limitation and it can explode or implode, and that is a limit. That's a place that we don't want anyone to be. So if at some point you have a moment that you feel that way, reach out to anyone that you can feel the security and comfort and confidence in to be able to speak to. But if you don't have that, reach out and just go on Facebook, whatever it is that allows you to release and let go of that pressure. Please do so, because you may not feel that you matter. You may not feel that you are important because you have in your bubble, in your world, something that is that's pressing you down. But you have no idea that because you at that time that you chose to check in with someone, you were able to change that person's life and improve it. At the moment that you need to help, someone can do the same thing for you, but you have to kind of open up. You matter also because the world, our earth is full of water, right? And even though it's a bunch of water there, and one drop may not mean anything, without that one drop, when it started with one drop, it would not have filled. So we all matter. Each grain of salt, each grain of sand matters. So when it comes to my growth with God, I just want you to please understand that there's no obligation for you to focus on God and be and do the God thing, because there are many things that you have your option and your freedom to believe in. But if you know God and you understand God, and you can praise him for the things that you have in your life. Also praise him for the things that he's challenged you with and the lesson that you have learned, because those are things when it comes to the mercy. But then again, you understand the difference of grace, those things that you get that you don't deserve, but you still have, that you still are able to possess, those things that things that you're able to take advantage of, that individuals would love to be able to have, that would love to even have a quarter of. And at any point, like it happens often, I get messages or I get calls and stuff, and I sent, like, I'm one of those that when I see, and this is interesting, and so I don't, and anyone can call me a liar if they want to on this, on whatever. There are people that they can say, yo, it is true, Leo. One day I put something that, that this is making me, I'm struggling about this, and he called me, or like, I'm a FaceTiming dude, I'm a video guy or something. I will call. Like, are you good? Why are you calling me? Well, because you said that you're struggling, you're depressed. Well, okay, well, I didn't think you were going to call me. Well, I did. Are you good? Are you okay? Like, what's going on? And I don't have to know you. I don't have to know you 100%. Sometimes you never know. So if I have the opportunity to do that, I know that we can all do the same thing. And a couple of last words. I know you said a few, but
no worries.
Father, one thing is that people, we are struggling with really big deals right now. We are you cannot blame COVID. You cannot blame AIDS. You cannot blame the water for the many things that we are struggling with right now. We are our own enemies, with no question. We continue to damage us, but we also have the power to improve us. We all have the opportunity to say, let me do this to help this person compared to, let me do this to damage this person. We all have a lot of power. It's just about diverting that power for it to be to a positive thing. I just really hope that we can do a detour of pessimism, and let's just be positive. Let's just get creative, and let's just improve. When it comes to the dance scene, because dancing is a big part of my life, I'm being real quick at this. When it comes to bachata, you don't have to be all tied up, okay? When it comes to the privacy and the space, if someone doesn't want to, is a no, and that's cool. When it comes to the fact of someone not liking the things that you're doing, then just don't do it. Be respectful. Sometimes you will notice that someone is going to appreciate the fact that you're being a gentleman more, that you're being extra. Being extra might just let someone find out about your extra at a different time, at a different moment. Right now, just be respectful and enjoy the dance, and just love on people, man. Just do it. That's
honestly it. and I really do want to thank you so much for your messages, for your wisdom, for speaking your truth, because it is important that all of us, again, we're all human. We all go through our pains and trials and tribulations, and it is okay to reach out to someone, especially during this time. And for me, honestly, just like I tell all of my guests, this is our first interview, but it surely won't be our last. And I definitely, we will keep in contact. We will be spreading our messages of positivity. And it's people like me, you, and others that really are the shining lights in our dance community. So I thank you again so much, Leo. I thank you for the audience, and we will definitely talk again soon.
Yes. Hey, man, one thing, if you don't mind, because you said that was the last word. You mind if I just say a prayer for anyone that will be here?
Yes, absolutely.
So right now, God, I just want to say thank you for allowing us just kind of be here, to being able to use social media, even though that COVID has limited our ability of contact, but has not limited our ability to connect, to be present. Sometimes, as you have said, that if your word if your word exists, then that's all that may matter, because everything else is going to be followed by the Holy Spirit. Today, I want to say thank you for the lessons you've given us and for your provisions, because you provided for us sometimes that we didn't need it when we didn't deserve it. And we love you for that. Right now, we all have a challenge of the negative things that we have to go through every day. But you have the ability to, if we choose to believe in you, you will provide the positivity and the light and just kind of the way to be able to exit out of the things that are challenging. Um, your heart is big as long as we choose to accept your heart. Your love is big as long as we choose to love you and to give you the steering wheel, so you can actually drive us to where we got to do. Because sometimes we think we know it all, but in fact, we don't really give you the credit of the one and being the creator. We love you. We appreciate you. And anyone that's hearing this message, please allow them to first look in the mirror, speak to themselves, or get feedback from someone about things that they're challenging with, that they're suffering from, that they're having so many problems with, to be able to address them. Please allow them to find peace. Please allow them to find the peace they need to be able to move forward. Please allow them to understand the meaning of forgiveness, God. God, allow them to understand what the meaning of forgiveness is, which means to let things go, to understand that it's part of their past, to not forget it, but just simply to understand that in their future, accept your past, but move forward with your wisdom of what you have learned, so you can progress and be a better man and a better woman for you on this earth. Thank you for your blessings. Thank you for the internet to allow us to still connect. Thank you for Diamond for being able to kind of give his time, allow his heart to express his feelings, to open up this platform so that individuals can just choose to be confident and express their feelings and express their sorrows, express their pains, express their challenges, but also express their victories, and also express that they have learned how they progress in their lives. Please bless him and bless anyone that has been listening to this broadcast and the future interviews that are coming up, to allow them to see that that the Diamond is simply just focused on opening up a big window so we can see how the rest of the world is living and how we can get better. Thank you, God, for your love and your blessings, and I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Leo. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And, I know this interview specifically will definitely impact a lot of people's lives in a positive way. And I want you to keep spreading your message. Anything you need me to share on my platform, I surely will. And until we meet again, my friend.
Much love, man. Thank you again, man. You're awesome.
Thank you. Everyone, have a good night.
Good night,
Peace.
Man. Later.